welcome Mark Fiorentino to the show right now. He has a new book called Master of Reality. And Mark, good morning to you. Thanks so much for calling in today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Great to have you with us. So you worked for many years in the high-tech industry. Just give us a little background about what you've done.
Well, I have worked in various areas of the high-tech industry and basically in IBM and Harris Government Systems, working on missile projects and high-tech types of computers and testing and that sort of realm. Basically, I've been a troubleshooter all my life, so this book is kind of about troubleshooting a particular problem.
So this is your first book, right?
Basically, yeah.
Master of Reality, and you're very curious about Albert Einstein's field theory, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. My book, The Master of Reality, is about the discovery of the theory of everything. It was originally called Unified Field Theory by Albert Einstein. The important thing to remember is that the unified field theory is the holy grail of theoretical physics. I believe I have solved this incredibly difficult problem. So my book is for people that are curious about what is real and how things work in the material world, hence the title Master of Reality. The book is an adventure that reveals the origins of everything and everyone. That's basically it in a nutshell.
So obviously it sounds like so much research went into this. Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it took me 4 long years of writing every day, day in and day out. And thanks to the power of the internet, this was made possible. People don't realize the power for research that the internet has. I went back 400 years to be able to find articles and things written by the people that I was investigating their ideas. I couldn't have done this in an ordinary library. It would have been too difficult to go back and find all these papers and such. So it was a strenuous, long journey, but it was well worth it.
How satisfied do you feel as far as the outcome of all this research in this book?
I'm pretty darn satisfied in that since I have a solution for the world's most difficult problem, the difficulty or where the getting satisfied is really about is trying to get the word out, because it's so difficult a thing to make believable, because it is kind of unbelievable. So there's a whole nother backstory here, basically, where I am being guided to write this book by a lot of supernatural type of events and things that are going on that have happened to me over the past 45 years.
In the book, Mark, you cover so much: how the universe was created, how the universe will end, UFOs, and just talk about all that. How the Earth was created, UFOs, how the universe will end.
Well, the universe, as my theory says, is basically an intelligent design. I had to be sure about who the creator was. Was it a random event, as many scientists believe, or was there an actual creator? So going through my research, reading many near-death experiences and my own personal experiences with communicating with the other side, there's no doubt in my mind the evidence strongly points to a created, intelligent design universe. So that mystery has been solved as far as I'm concerned. And then I went into the details of exactly how it was physically done. And basically, through the power of intention, God had made this universe and many more universes. There's not just this one. There's an infinite amount of universes being created, and they are continuously being created all the time. And basically that evidence comes from near-death people who one after another are saying the same thing, that we are all a part of this God being, this super being, and it's not just one religion, or it's a universal type of religion that is happening here. And there are over 200,000 cases of near-death experiences just in the United States alone every year. So there's a movement that nobody's really aware of that's happening right now worldwide, thanks to the increase in medical technology and stuff. These people are coming back and they're all telling the same story. And we need to count that as evidence toward what's really happening here.
We have Mark Fiorentino with us. His new book, Master of Reality, delves into really some interesting things. What about the connection between, the ETs and the unified field theory?
Yeah, definitely there is a connection there. When I was a child, I remember and teenager reading many UFO books because I was fascinated by how they got here and what their technology is, how it works. And clearly, there was something going on with magnetism. As one of the things that I was reading once, the U.S. Air Force guy was going to investigate a landing site, and he took with him a magnometer. And I'm saying, why are you measuring magnetic fields? And so they were measuring the area, and the blades of grass under where the UFO landed were magnetized. And this takes an immensely powerful magnetic field to do that, hundreds of Teslas. This is not something that's normal. You just don't find grass in a field magnetized like that. So that was a clue way back when, and I never forgot that. And there are other instances where people have reported magnetism interfering with cars and so forth as the UFOs fly over. So that's the connection, and getting to the point where we realize that magnetic fields actually are the way to create anti-gravity and also propulsion. So when we look at UFOs flying by our jets, like it happened out west when they were pursuing the Tic Tacs out there, those UFOs were not emitting any rockets, jets, no ion propulsion at all. There's some field around them, and they're able to move rapidly, literally flying circles around our jets. So this is a technology that we can build and have for ourselves, and it will change the face of everything that we have in this world.
So, Mark, the book is out. It's complete. It's a wonderful book. Is there anything that you didn't explore that you'd like to maybe explore in possibly a second book?
Yeah, I really held back talking about the psychic experiences that I've had, the mediums, all of that plays into the story. I didn't really put a whole lot of that in the book, but there is some very interesting stuff in there, and that really plays into reality. And it's not about just me, but it's about how everybody is and how we're born and how our destinies are formed and how we have our free will and choice to help make our life plan happen. So that could possibly be another book at some point, but I'm going to probably write it up and put it in the blog because it's more evidence. It's more proof. It's not the kind of evidence that the scientists would accept, but that method, the scientific method, needs a revamping because this is real evidence that should be counted. And I have proof positive, at least for me, that there is an afterlife. There is a God. I know these things for sure. I have no doubt anymore. And that's the creator, and the creator is the source. And who best to find out information about how things were created but the person, the being that designed the whole system. So I pursued that. So I'm kind of the Indiana Jones of physics, and that I'm going places they would never dare go.
You mentioned psychics and your own personal experiences. Could you share one with us?
Yeah, well, the last one that I had was really a breakthrough. And, I didn't go to the psychic for asking about this book. It had just been completed. I actually had a close encounter with a bat, and I was afraid that I was going to come down with rabies. And I couldn't convince the people just to give me the shots to play it safe. And then I was panicked, and I says, I got to find out for sure if I got it, because I don't know, because I was washing out the thing I had caught the bat in. There was saliva in there, and some of that splashed onto my face. And I said, uh-oh, that went in my eye, and I already read on the internet you can get it that way. I'm going to have rabies, and you die from rabies. You don't recover. So I called a psychic, and we were discussing that, and then she said, no, you don't have it. And then I just mentioned, well, I just wrote this book here, and is there anything to it? I think it's right. It makes sense to me. And then all heck broke loose. She started going into, yeah, it's right. And my parents are telling me all this stuff. You've got this right. And then suddenly, physicists start coming forward like Albert Einstein. And one of the questions, this is how I know for sure this was right, because I've been researching. I wanted to find out if Einstein ever said the word contraction along with gravity. So I'm researching, looking all over the internet, looking for it. I finally did find it afterwards, but at this time I hadn't really found it yet. And she says, Einstein's coming forward, and why is he clasping his hands together? He's got them outstretched, and he's bringing them together, and he's repeating that. And so I got chills up my spine. I says, I know exactly what he's sending to me. I've been asking him this for a long time. Is gravity a contraction of space? So he's over there answering the question for me. There's no way in heck she could have guessed that. And there's other stories that are like that, where I had another psychic many years before. Well, the first 4 psychics that I went to said the same exact thing to me. In your later years, you will be a spiritual teacher. The first psychic that I went to didn't tell me about this book or anything. I left the room. Another person that I was with came in. And when we were driving in the car on our way to Daytona Beach, after we went to the psychic who was in Casadega, a spiritualist capital of the world down there in Florida, he said, hey, that's something about what she said about you. And I said, what? Because I had a very normal reading. You're going to get married, you're going to do this. Everything she said 45 years ago came true. And then he said to me, well, she said you're going to be famous someday. You're going to discover something, invent something. That part is a little vague in my head. Because for years I tried to invent things that never really worked out. And after that bug was in my head that I need to be aware. And then psychic after psychic kept saying the same things to me, but they wouldn't give me any details about what it was I was going to have to do. I had to discover that myself. And it was 45 long years before this hobby became this book that I have now.
Well, congratulations. So good to have you with us. Really interesting story here. Master of Reality. Mark Fiorentino is the author of the book. And, hey, we look forward to maybe another book in the future and having you back. Really interesting, and really appreciate you being with us today.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, enjoy the day, Mark. Thanks.
All right, bye-bye.
2 minutes after 9 o'clock, AM 1490.